Yo, what is going on, guys? And if you are tired of the tank meta, please raise your hand. And let me know you guys raise your hands just like this video. But yeah, personally, I absolutely despise the tank meta. So that's what this build does. Anyone sub 40k health, you should be able to burst with this combo. This is the hardest hitting Dragonknight build that currently exists in ESO. I did a build video about a year ago about the crit DK of how we stack mechanical acuity and a bunch of crit damage with corrosive, and you just do astronomical amounts of damage. Well, in this video, I actually take that to a whole new level. This is the true in-game Dragonknight PvP build for open world. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's hop into the video.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails done. Girls with their girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails done. Girls with their
Alright guys, so before we hop into the bread and butter of today's video, if you like the new drip, let me know down in the comments. And also, while you are there, I do stream on both YouTube and Twitch, and sometimes Kick. So if you have a preferred streaming platform, I have the links down to all of my socials down in the description below. Just go give me a follow. I also do some Twitter things, or Twitter X, or X.com, whatever it's called now. So to give you guys a TLDR of what this build is about and whether it's going to suit your playstyle, we are stacking maximum critical strike damage as well as maximum critical strike chance. We will have 100% critical strike chance for our burst, and we are also going to be using corrosive for our burst. This is what allows us to bypass the tank meta and burst most people, not all people, most people, if they have below 40k health. If you hit them with the full combo, they are going to be deleted. So let's take a look at the character sheet. Here's everything completely unbuffed, and if we want to semi-buff everything here, here's everything potentially fully buffed is what you're going to expect. We got around 5k weapon spell damage. Obviously this goes up with continuous attack. Our spell critical will climb up to a 100%, which is why this build is so strong. Take a look at our back bar resistances. Even though we're not running a defensive set on this build, we do have a solid 30k spell and physical resistance. Now, here's the stats. You guys can copy and pasta this as much as you want. I think you should have, if you're a solo 1vxer, you should have 30k health, a bare minimum, okay? When it comes to the race and also the food we're using is Jewels of Mistral. Jewels of Mistral is the cheaper alternative to Smoke Bear Haunch. You actually do need recovery this patch, unfortunately, since they completely nerfed combustion down into the ground. If you guys are unfamiliar with the combustion changes, they've nerfed it twice already. They changed it to where, I'll go ahead and highlight it for you just so you can have a visual representation in case you guys don't want to listen to me, right? So the combustion passive, so essentially what it used to do, used to be able to apply the burning or poison status effect every 1 second, and that's how we got most of our sustain. So we would run charge, a bunch of status effects that would apply burning and poison, just so every single second we get 1,000 resources back. Well, now it's changed to where you can only get this effect once every 3 seconds per each pool. So this heavily ate into our sustain. Before, when we ran the Dragonknight, we run a bunch of cost reduction and ultimate regeneration, and that was enough to essentially offset our spell usage. So with our battle roar passive, what we were able to do was to abuse the battle roar passive to where we have such high ultimate regeneration, we could actually generate more resources than we are consuming, and that would help our sustain. That would completely level out our sustain. Now that's not the case. You have to have a lot of recoveries in order to get those resources back due to these combustion changes, unfortunately. So the Dragonknight did take a pretty heavy nerf, but we're still making it work. The Dragonknight is still a top tier class. So finishing out the character sheet, we are running the Shadow Mundus to amplify our critical damage as well as our critical healing. Vampire stage 3 obviously, and when it comes to your race, I would highly suggest going Khajiit if you're going to go the crit build. If you have a Breton or High Elf or Dark Elf or Imperial, it's not the end of the world. You're just gonna be missing out a little bit of damage, but it will help your sustain if you are a Breton or Imperial. If you are one of the other races, you're actually able to push your raw damage a little bit higher, but your critical damage is still gonna be a little bit lower. It's not the end of the world. First set we're running, as you may have guessed, is Mechanical Acuity. We're running a 2 axes, which is going to give us critical strike damage per axe, and we're also running both Nerdtones. Since they did nerf the combustion passive, charge really isn't that valuable of a trait to have, in my opinion. We're running a Shock Glyph on the main hand to give us the concussed status effect, as well as a flame damage enchantment on the secondary to give us the burning status effect. Okay, so Mechanical Acuity, if you guys are unfamiliar with the set, it's going to give you stamina, magicka. This is craftable, by the way. The 4-piece gives you weapon and spell damage, and then the 5-piece, whenever you deal non-critical damage, you proc Acuity. So for 4 seconds, I'll explain this loosely. I'm not going to read from the tooltip because it's kind of confusing. So when you proc Acuity, you have 4 seconds to do additional non-crit damage. Each single time you do non-crit damage, you get a 20% increase to your critical strike chance, okay? And then you get another 4 seconds of this stack, another 4 seconds, and this keeps happening until you eventually reach 100% critical strike chance. Upon reaching 100% critical strike chance, you have 4 seconds to where all of your damage abilities as well as your healing will crit 100% of the time for 4 seconds, and that's when you want to time your burst. Now there are plenty of add-ons to keep track of Acuity, so you don't have to count it down in your head, but a rule of thumb, when Acuity procs, you want to pop your corrosive, obviously, count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where you want to line your burst. You pick a target, you want to have your deep breath, all the skills will go over in a moment, and you're going to line your combo up around that one person, and they're just going to be yeeted and deleted. Next set we are running is going to be Bloodspawn. Bloodspawn is like one of the best sets in the game for Dragonknight. I absolutely love it. It's going to give you stamina recovery. It's going to give you a metric crap load of ultimate regeneration as well as resistances. So when everything's fully said and done, we do get up around the 34k, almost 35k spell and physical resistance with this set and this build put together. So it's absolutely phenomenal, guys. So Bloodspawn, definitely awesome. You can also slot Marslooks if you wanted to, and there is another debated set. I made a video about this on the channel, the Jaral's Mountains War Chiefs, guys. You could potentially slot this, guys, but I'm telling you, it is going to do you more harm than good. Okay, so the next set is what's going to catch a lot of you guys off guard. We are running Sexil's Champions Curious. You may be asking yourself, what is even this set? So let me go on the record and say you can consistently hit 17k crit whips without the Repose CP passive. The Repose CP passive buffs your next direct damage ability after you block damage by 33%. You can easily get over 20k whips on this build with Sexil's Champion. So what does this set do? 2-piece, gives you magicka. Cool. This is a trial set, by the way. This is a Black Grove. You can just run on normal. You don't need the perfected version, Raw Grove, excuse me. It's very, very easy, very, very quick to do. 3-piece is useless. 4-piece, pretty much useless since it's on your back bar. Now the 5-piece, when you use an ultimate ability while in combat, you and up to 11 group members within 28 meters of you gain major force. For 1 second per 15 ultimate consumed. Major force increases your critical strike damage by 20%. That is how we have such a high critical damage cap on this build. So notice when we pop our corrosive, we go to our character sheet and we go to the advanced tooltips, our critical strike damage is 79%. And don't forget, you already have a base 50% increase to this, so you have effectively 129% critical damage, which is hitting the cap, right? But you also have to factor into the equation that the critical strike damage cap, which is in PvE 125%, those monsters don't have critical resistance, right? So when you're attacking people in open world, you innately have critical resistance on your build, even though you don't have any impenetrable traits. So that comes into play. So theoretically, you can never really hit the crit cap in PvP. So the higher the better. finish going over the sets, and then I'll cover the weights. So we are running the Mythic Sea Serpent's Coil. You do not necessarily have to run Sea Serpent's Coil. This is going to give you Major Courage, which is awesome. And it's also going to give you Major Berserk, increasing your damage by 10%, which is amazing. Now, a lot of people do not like the snare from this. Don't worry, guys. If you play Call of Duty or you're familiar with B-hopping, get used to roll dodging and B-hopping on your class. It completely offsets the snare from this. If you're able to roll dodge and then just jump immediately afterwards to conserve your momentum. As soon as you get in habit of that playstyle, this is literally a 15% increased damage to your character at all times, and it's absolutely amazing. And one thing to note about it, there's actually a strategy to counter the snare. If you do not want Sea Serpent's Coil to proc, essentially you just don't heal yourself to 100%. Kind of keep your health floating around. Say if you're kiting, using Race Against Time to get to a safer place, just don't full heal yourself to 100%, and Sea Serpent's Coil will never proc, snaring you. So when you're ready for your burst, pop Corrosive, get to 100% health, okay, and then Sea Serpent's Coil will proc. You'll get Major Berserk as well as Major Courage, and that's when you time your burst. So it will take a little bit of practice to really master this mythic, but once you do, you'll never go back. When it comes to the enchantments, we are running Infused Weapon and Spell Damage. On our ring, run Mecha Acuity, Infused Recovery, and then we have one Bloodthirsty Mechanical Acuity. If you are going to run this build, I do think in hindsight it is better to run 2 Bloodthirsty, 1 Infused. The healing on this build is a little lackluster, okay? And that's why I did not mention before. Apologies for that. We're running a Restoration Staff. I tried running an Ice Staff, and it just seemed I ran into instances, yeah, I was really tanky, but I just simply wasn't able to heal like I thought I would be able to. So being able to get the Major Mending from the Restoration Staff skill line, and also when you're lower, your healing is bolstered by I think 16% from the Restoration Staff skill lines, as well as the passive. So when you block every 0.25 seconds from the Restoration Staff skill line, you can generate magicka. So essentially you can get 2400 magicka every single second if you're blocking, and this really does help your sustain, and it does offset the nerf to the combustion passive. When it comes to the armor weights, we're actually running tri-stats on everything naturally, because that's how you get the most bang for your buck. We're running 3 medium, 3 heavy, and 1 light, just to maximize our Undaunted passes. On all of your heavy gear have reinforced, and the rest of your gear, the medium and the light, have well fitted, because you will be roll dodging a lot on this build if you want to play around Sea Serpent's Coil. Hopping over into the skills, so we are running Deep Breath. This is what we're going to use to apply massive AoE pressure during our burst, and it's going to heal you so you can stay on your front bar, accumulating your acuity stacks during your corrosive. This is absolutely amazing. We'll go over the combo here in just a moment. Running Shattering Rocks. I prefer this more because it does give you heal when the effect ends. Flames of Oblivion is our spammable, and also has a really high chance to apply the Burning Status effect to multiple players, which is awesome. And then it also gives you Major Prophecy, increasing your critical strike chance by 10%. Molten Whip, so you guys know how Molten Whip works. Just whip Nene with your Molten Whip. I don't really prefer the other one, just because the way the meta has shifted. If you don't have really high burst damage, or running the quote-unquote meta duel, meta slave dueling build, Masters, Base Shrans, Marslix. Oh, by the way, we are going to counter that playstyle, okay? And also the War Chiefs monster set everyone's raving about. We are going to run a triple purge set on our Dragonknight here in the next few days. I will be streaming later, so if you guys will be notified for that, please subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. I tested a little bit yesterday, and then the triple purge build is just cancerous, dude. You completely shut down that monster set. You shut down all the dueling builds. It is absolutely hilarious. So moving on, Whirling Blades is absolutely amazing. So when you do your combo and people obviously break free roll dodge and they try to, get out, you're going to Whirling Blades them and you're catching them in the roll dodge literally every single time. And then if you have a lot of Bloodthirsty is really going to pop off because they're going to be really, really low. As you guys saw in the clips at the beginning, just with Whirling Blades alone, I'm hitting with people at 10, 11K, and you saw some, almost 17K whips at the beginning of the video. And again, that was just like 1 day of gameplay, okay? This can get a lot better. Like a week of gameplay, I'm going to have a montage for you guys. It's going to be amazing. Next is Ferocious Leap. But even though we're going to be using corrosive most of the time, this is really helpful for getting us resources back when we need it. And it's also going to be used as a gap closer in case someone's trying to run away, okay? So back bar is igneous weapons. You can either run this or you can run degeneration. The reason I'm not running Alliance battle drought potions, you do have to run battle drought potions on this because you do have access to major and minor brutality. So you kind of, if you want to free up a slot on your back bar, you gotta run battle drought, and then your magicka sustain is kind of rough. You can do that if you can balance your magicka sustain just running battle drought pots. You can do that, but I just simply could not. So you either run igneous weapons here or you can run entropy. This is so I can run tripods, or even better, you want to run the heroism potions. These will absolutely carry you. They're very, very expensive. If you have a lot of dragon's rum or dragon's blood floating around, I actually don't think I have any on me. This is saddening. No, actually here they are. So I mean, essentially they're going to give you a minor heroism, and they pretty much act like a tripod. So if you can afford them, they're great. It's dragon's blood, dragon's rum, and columbine is how you create these. Okay, next is coagulating blood. This is our burst heal, resolving vigor for one of the best healing over time. Volatile armor for our buff. Also, get in a habit of applying this to people. You see on the target room here, they have volatile armor on them. I actually reapply this every 10 seconds because volatile armor is considered flame damage. It has, I think, like a 2% to apply the brain stats effect, and it does do a decent amount of damage over time, so that's pretty nice. Moving on into the last skill in the bar. Now this is a huge flex spot. You can run whatever you want here. You don't necessarily have to run race against time. There are a lot of different alternatives which can lead into even more bursts. For example, Dragonfire Scale. When you pop Dragonfire Scale during corrosive, each and every single time you're hit by a projectile, it is going to reflect an orb. This can happen like every half second. Okay, this orb does as much damage as the Flames of Oblivion. I consistently hit people during Acuity 10k procs of this, and this can happen every half second. For example, if a Nightblade Bolt ults you and the only thing you have to do is pop wings, they will literally one tap themselves. It's hilarious. So Dragonfire Scale, if you can keep it up, if you have the magic of sustain, is absolutely amazing. If you think you need a little bit more healing, put on Cinderstorm. If you put on Cinderstorm, I do suggest you run 1 infused cost reduction, because when you run 1 infused cost reduction, this 372 magicka per second, it actually stacks additive to this, so you will be reducing this cost by 330 approximately. So it will only cost you 48 magicka per second to have this amazing heal over time in AoE for you and your partners. Okay, so Cinderstorm is absolutely amazing. And then also, I think arguably one of the best flex spots you could run is Elusive Mist. This is pretty amazing. I have not used this a lot, but the short time that I did use it, I was very, very impressed. Not only does it give you some iframes, immunity frames, it is a nice way to close the gap or get behind cover. It also gives you major expedition, which will kind of help offset the snare to sea serpent's coil, right? And it also gives you major evasion, which is going to increase your resistances to AoE attacks by 20%. There's a lot of abilities in the game that is considered AoE you wouldn't think about. Dawnbreaker obviously is an AoE. Any of the Desher ults are AoE. Marslux, that proc is considered AoE. There is a lot of AoE ability. Talons, the initial heal, the initial heal of Engulfing Flames, Noxious Breath. There are a lot of what is quote-unquote AoE abilities that this will help reduce the damage of, and it is actually really, really nice to have. Especially being a vampire, you're gonna be getting hit with really hard Dawnbreakers, so this will lower the Dawnbreaker damage by like 20%, which is absolutely incredible. I think I'm gonna start using Elusive Mist on my classes more often, to be honest. And then, of course, corrosive armor is the bread and butter. You're going to pop this. You're going to have Sexil's Champion. Sexil's Champion is going to give you major force for the entire duration. You're corrosive, and you're just going to go ham. Okay, so here's how the combo is going to play out. You're going to have all your buffs necessary. You're going to pop corrosive, go to your front bar, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Pop deep breath, fossilized whip, rolling blades. That is essentially the combo. Okay, I will break that down one more time for you guys. You're going to pop corrosive, have a ×3 Seething Fury stacks. I don't care what you're doing the first 3 seconds of your mechanical acuity proc, as long as you're doing some sort of damage on your front bar, just to make sure you keep your acuity stacks on you at all times. I don't care. Around the 3 and 4 second mark, you will want to hit deep breath into a fossilized, into a whip, into a whirling blades. So you're going to have like a 10-11k whirling blade, you're going to have a 10-11k deep breath, you're going to have usually around a 14 or 15k whip, you're going to have the damage from shattering rocks also hitting, and then if you get really lucky, you'll have another Flames of Oblivion proc hit them immediately afterwards. So you can easily burst anyone around 35k health is usually a free kill. When you start getting above 35k health, around, you know, near the 40k, it is kind of hit and miss here and there depending on the amount of overhealing and cross healing they're going to get during the combo. Now all you negative Nancy's in the comments are going to say, whoa, when I see a Dragonknight and I see them pop corrosive, I'm just going to run away. Well, if you pop vigor before you corrosive then pop it, you can't see it's procced. And also, if you have vigor active before your acuity procs, they can't even see the acuity proc on you either. Normally you're glowing blue, you can't see anything. So unless they have their actual game volume turned up really, really high and they hear the pss, 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 pss noise like you're trying to call a cat over, they're not going to know when you're corrosive and they're going to be dead before they even realize it. Champion point wise, we are going balls to the walls with fighting, finesse, cleansing, revival. Since this is still busted, it's not been fixed, you get this cleanse at any percent health threshold, not just falling below 25%. Mastered arms, deadly aim to get those nice juicy crit whips, and then heading over into the red tree. Brewing, Fortify, Sustain by Suffering, Pain's Refuge, and Survival Instincts. Thank you guys so much for watching till the end. Please consider liking and subbing to the channel. If you want to help support your boy Hoarcrux, we do have YouTube memberships enabled. You get a bunch of badges during live streaming, you can spam, pretty cool, a bunch of emotes and emojis, which is pretty awesome. And you get shout outs in all the videos. It's a win-win. If you haven't already, guys, I'm trying to become a member of the ESO stream team. I need 1,000 followers over on Twitch. So if you haven't already, please go follow me on Twitch. It would mean the absolute world to me. If you have any PvP top 5 clips, please submit them in the description, the Google Docs form down below. Or if you want me to help you with PvP and you have something you're struggling with, whether it be a rotation or a class or how to counter other classes, I also do have a battle critique form down in the description below. So if you need a little one-on-one help, and if you don't mind me posting that video later for YouTube just for some content, just for some teaching and learning purposes, also do have the link down in the description if you need a little help. And before I peace out, a huge and glorious shout out to my patrons and also my community members. You guys are absolutely amazing, and the support you guys provide is heartwarming. It is very humbling. I love each and every single one of you. And if you made it to this part of the video, you're an absolute Chad, and no, I have not forgot about my Hottub stream. Please call me out in the comments if you made it to the end of the video. That's how I know who my true supporters are, watching until the main end of the video to help boost this video in the algorithmic gods. Okay, all right guys, that's all I had to say. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Peace.